Well, it wasn't long after that door snapped open, I could hear my mama scream no. You know, it's like those memories we all have where time stands still. I don't remember what occurred from the time she screamed no till the time the police were monitoring who could come inside to pick up their kids. It just seemed to happen immediately. The funny thing I remember is watching kids cry after their parents got there. I remember thinking, why are they crying? They were not crying a minute ago. My mama did not let me cry. At times I wanted to cry, she would tell me, stop it right this instant, or zip it up. It seemed like a waste of energy to cry, only to be told to stop and then not nurtured for it. So I just saved myself the time and stopped crying altogether. Not sure why, but after this occurrence there seemed to be a lot of men with badges. A whole lot more than the time Mama shot Daddy. Some did not even wear those blue uniforms, just a badge on their belt. I remember the stars or eagles all shiny. I became fascinated with the badge of the uniformed officers at this age in my life. It was not long now. We were on the move again. Before we found a place to live, I remember being in the big city. Atlanta. It was kind of scary. We walked down this really dirty street. The night sky glowed from all the lights. Above those bright lights was a blanket of black with no stars to be seen across the sky. Some people stood outside on purpose. Not going anywhere really, just standing and looking about. There was this woman talking to two men. She looked like she worked in a circus. It was way too cold for the dress she was wearing. So many colors. Don't believe I ever saw a person outside the circus wear that many colors. The buildings were so tall, I could not see the top of them. I was surprised when we stopped walking and Mom knocked on the door. A scared-looking man opened the door, and we walked up some really smelly stairs. This was the only time I remember Mama saying, "Do not touch those handrails." When we got to the top, there was a lady behind a glass wall that started talking to Mama. I looked about and saw a whole bunch of people. They all looked really sad, and a lady walked us out to the middle of the room. There was a small space on the floor where the blankets were dropped. It looked like everyone was taking a nap, just like we did at Joyce's house when she wanted to watch her stories. I was tired, so I did not mind taking a nap. I missed Julie really bad. She was my nap time friend, my best friend, my only friend. There even seemed to be a sadness I have never known before. It was an invisible pain. It made me want to cry, but crying never did get me nothing. I sure was not going to cry in front of Mama. Mama laid down her blankets and she spooned Junior. She laid in my direction, then said, "Do you have to go use the commode?" "No, Mama." "Make sure, 'cause once we go to sleep, you have to hold it till morning. And do not get up and go nowhere alone." "Yes, ma'am," I replied. With those orders, that was enough to know what I signed up for. I was not much longer after that. All I could think about was wanting to go pee. My eyes got heavy, and with each slow blink, I remember Mama's eyes wide open. When I woke up, Mama's eyes were still open, but looked much more tired. Shortly after, the people that worked there made everyone get up and leave for the day. During the day, we went to a park and watched the ducks. Mama let me feed the ducks the crusty parts of my bread that I did not like to eat. We stayed here maybe 3 nights. I seem to remember there was a commotion the last night we were there, and somebody was trying to steal something from Mama. I knew from a very early age you did not mess with Mama. She was a fighter. It did not matter if you were a man or a woman. You piss her off or wrong her, and you'll be sorry. But it seems this was not a very good place to be, because we had not been there that long, and everyone seemed to stare at us real funny. Now that I think about it, I do not remember where we lived at the next stop. This has a lot to do with the next babysitter. I spent so much time at this next babysitter's that it is the only place I remember while being awake. In the middle of nowhere, off Highway 44, also known as Greensboro Road. I remember it to be a long ride that included the landscape that Georgia is most famous for. You know, the tall pine trees, red clay, and open land. If you could see your neighbor's house, then you lived in a busy area. The sitter's house was somewhere off this highway, down what seemed to be at the end of a long dirt road. A 2-story house with a tin roof and a wraparound porch. Off to the right, they had a garden with lots of corn. Behind the house, a small barn along with several tool sheds. Behind that, a pond. A small boat laid up on shore. The rule was the kids were not allowed to go past the tool sheds. This kept kids from drowning, I guess. I do not remember the names of the sitters. It was a very old lady. She was a grandma. Her kids and grandkids would visit sometimes. Her grandkids were all grown up. Once again, there was a lot of children at this sitter's house. Unlike Joyce, she was not alone. Her husband was also home all day. He must have been a farmer, 'cause he wore overalls and flannel shirts all the time. There was a strange comfort being in this house. It had the feeling of a home. The comforts were not as modern as Joyce's house, yet there were many areas that were very cozy. We were able to and often encouraged to play outside. There was no TV. This was a very big difference than being stuck in Joyce's house all day long. I remember the warm Georgia sun, the tall corn, and the fresh air. There seems to be this energy at this age where you can run for days and never get tired. Not even sure I physically remember what that feels like, 'cause I do not remember a feeling ever attached to it. There was no exertion that led to shortness of breath. No aches that encouraged you to stop. Just pure adrenaline that would make you move as fast as you can, even if it meant running right up a tree. Not sure how much time passed before the feelings of the warm sun and cozy quilts became the path to dread and fear. There was a time shortly after playing hide-and-go-seek in the back of the yard with the others. I remember running from one side of the house towards the cornfield. While looking back to make sure I was not seen, I ran right into the old man. It felt like hitting a wall. Stunned, I remember this hand going around the back of my head when I looked up at him. He said, "You need to watch where you're going," with a deep stare. I stepped back, took off running again, when I heard, 5, 4. I hid deep in the cornfields. I ran almost to the end of them before I realized I could not hear anyone screaming or running. I stopped for a second, being as quiet as I could to listen for screaming or the rustling of corn. I got low to the ground and crawled slowly with my fingertips taking on dirt. My senses heightened, ready to dash like a cat if need be. I must have hid too long, 'cause I did not notice any noise or the kids at all. I low crawled close enough not to be seen, but well hidden so I could observe the area. Nothing. No one. Wonder where they all went. So I sprinted from the cornfield to the barn, looking around the corner slowly, then from the barn to a tool shed. Then I went to crawl, and I heard a noise. I stopped. Slowly, moving to get a better look, the old man seemed to be working in the shed. There were tools and all kinds of iron things hanging on the walls and ceiling. Then, as if my stealth was not enough, the old man said, "You should not sneak up on people. It's rude." He turned and looked at me. He had really good ears for an old man. I replied, "I was not sneaking up on you. We were playing hide-and-go-seek, and I am hiding." I kept looking around the shed. All kinds of stuff I had never seen before. It all looked so old. He then asked, "Are you all by yourself?" I said, "I guess. Not sure where everyone went." He replied, "You did not hear Ma call everybody in for lunch?" I said, "No, sir." "Where are your friends?" he asked. "I don't have any friends. I'm just playing," I replied. He smiled. You need to get inside and eat lunch. When you're done, come back out and I'll show you my tools. Well, like all good little obedient southern children, I obeyed. When I came back, I observed his work shed in more detail. It appeared to be large, yet smaller than a barn. The door was on the opposite side of the building, so when you exited the back door of the house, you had to walk around to the back of the shed to enter it. There was all sorts of metal tools with wooden handles, a window that was so dirty you could not see in, but still managed to show some light. The shed was old, and even some cracks in the wall big enough to put your finger through. I noticed you could see and hear real well anything going on outside of the shed through these cracks. The old man picked me up and placed me on a stool. Now I was level to his workbench. I saw tools that held things in place, others that made wood smooth. Some looked like medieval devices, but they were just old-fashioned drill bits. It was then I noticed the old man's hand on my shoulder as he would slowly rub my opposing arm. I think for normal kids, physical affection would not be alarming. For me, being touched was rare. I stayed because I was not excused to leave. I stayed because he was showing me things I enjoyed learning about. My daddy was never around. He never showed me tools. There was a moment in time I thought I would learn how to use them. Then a loud crick of the screen door opening, and the old man removed his hand. After a couple hefty footsteps, you could hear the pounding of weight against the ground. Sounded like a horse tromping by. Through the cracks of the shed, I could make out an image walking towards us, then around the shed. The man turned away and was moving stuff on another table. The old lady, often referred to as Ma, came in the door and started chatting with the mister. Shortly after, she said, "Is this one bothering you?" He said with a laugh, "Nah, she's gonna be my little helper today." Ma piffed and said, "Yeah, what I wouldn't give to have one or two of those little buggers helps me split peas." Then she waddled back. I never noticed how she walked till that day, but I found myself watching her leave through the cracks. You could see everything going on outside, but when outside you couldn't see in. When the door slammed, he was right back by my side. He placed some wood blocks on the table, then showed me what several tools could do to wood, then gave me some blocks to play with. I was very interested and completely distracted. I noticed that he left my side and sat down behind me. There was an old plastic chair with metal legs, just like the one you see in school. I did not pay attention, nor did I think it was strange that he would sit behind me. At this time, I was unaware that his hands was in his pants. He always wore overalls, and it tended to have the ability to give access to things you don't go the normal route to reach. When I heard other kids running about, I perked up. I jumped off the stool and started to run outside. With a quick jerk, the old man grabbed my arm so hard my whole body stopped, and I locked up. I turned and looked at him. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to go play." He let go, then said, "Okay, we'll come back when you want to." I had mixed feelings about this, so I ran off. Hours turned to days, and when kids were playing with matchbox cars, taking naps, or even worse, playing with dolls, I found myself bored. I remember going back to the shed. It was like the old man had eyes in the back of his head. Without turning around, he said, "So you're back. What do you want to create with your hands today?" Create? I never thought I could create anything. The old man had my interest. Back up on the stool I went, and some blocks of wood. He showed me how to draw on wood, and then use tools to chip pieces of the wood out to make real toys. I did this every day. Things that looked like houses, cars, cats. Each time I was set up and busy, he would go to his chair and put his hand in his pants. I am not sure how much time went by. 2 weeks, a month. The trips to the shed became something else. One day, he picked me up off the stool and sat me down on his lap. I was not used to being in anyone's lap. The only thing I could think of that was similar was Santa Claus. I tried to sit still, but I was uncomfortable, and there was something under my leg. I went to push off of it, and he grunted and yelled at me. Shocked, I stopped and just stood there. He then said, "You hurt me." I said quickly, "I'm sorry." He placed both his hands between his legs and rocked back and forth a little. I was uncomfortable at this point because I had never hurt an adult before, and I did say I was sorry. He then said, "If you're really sorry, you'll make it up to me. Do you want to show me you're sorry?" I nodded yes. He then motioned me to come closer. I stepped slowly. For some reason, I thought I was going to get hit. He then requested my hand. Still afraid of having my hand slapped, I braced myself for pain. He then placed my hand on top of his pants. I could feel a solid mass underneath his overalls. With his hand over mine, he rubbed it back and forth, then said, "That feels better. Now it doesn't hurt so bad." Confused, I just watched him manipulate my hand while being exposed to this strange body part. Then he stopped and let go of my hand. He said, "I don't think you're sorry. I think you meant to hurt me. I'm just an old man. Why would you hurt an old man?" Shocked, I said, "No, sir. I did not mean to." He then said, "We'll rub it and make it feel better. You are sorry, aren't you?" Easily swayed by his argument that I really did mean to hurt an old man and was not showing how sorry I was, I continued to rub this area as instructed. I do not remember thinking anything bad or good about this area, nothing different from an arm or a leg. It was a body part that I injured, and he said this made it feel better. Then he tucked his arm into his overalls going under the jean material. A piece of skin started to appear from between the buttons. I stopped touching while I stared. His other hand stretched this portion of his body out as far as it would go and laid it down. He continued, "This is my tool. It makes things happen or feel good. Not now, 'cause this is what you hurt. It was hard to make it feel better under my pants. Try it now." I reached for it. My hand formed like a karate chop, pressed down like before and rubbed back and forth sideways. His hand came over the top of mine. His hand was 5 times mine in size and placed fingers around the shaft. Then he had me stroke it. I could feel him gripping my hands tighter. It was a strange feeling. Like silly putty, a little warmer, but hard. I really did not have a thought or feeling. I was just rubbing his pain away. It must have worked because he started to smile and then leaned his head back. Shortly after, he patted me on the shoulder and said, "Good job," then told me to go inside, that I could come back and build toys tomorrow. Before I left, he said, "Kai, don't tell anyone you hurt me. You might get punished. It'll be our little secret." Well, the idea of being punished did not excite me, and a secret at this point was fine because it was over now. Or at least I thought. This routine of toy making was less and less. Being forced to touch the old man became mandatory. He even got to a point where he told me to start wearing dresses. This is where I would draw the line. "No, I am not a girl. I hate dresses," I said sternly. He looked at me with laughter and said, "You are a girl, and I want you to wear a dress. I want you to show you something I can only do to you if you wear a dress." I then became very irritable, angry even. I think he knew he was not going to get anywhere, so he changed the subject of dresses. The next day, I came by as instructed, and I went right into my new routine and duty of making up to the old man for causing him pain. I was responsible for a long-term injury. I remember the day he asked if I wanted to grow up, This was something I have wanted for a long time, to grow up. To grow up meant I could move about as I wanted. To move about meant I could go away. So, of course, this man was able to make me grow up. He had my interest. He then started off by saying, "There's a thing that makes grown-ups different than children. Do you want to know what that is?" Of course I did, so I nodded yes. He said, "You are grown up when you know what to do with your body." Do. I said out loud and thought to myself. He said, "Take off your pants and I'll show you. But if we hear a noise or someone coming, you have to pull them up real quick like. This is why I wanted you to wear a dress." I hesitated. At the same time, I had no reason or understanding that there was anything wrong to it. Because I was trained to never disobey an adult, I did as I was told. He pulled out his tool and instructed me to lick it. I refused. I'm not sure what he said to encourage me, but it was not good enough, and it did not happen. I mean, if you think about it, it looked like a wrinkled cow pie, and I knew this was the area you pee from. It did not smell that great either. Then he placed another chair in front of his and had me sit down with my legs open. He examined me, then said, "You look different." When he went to touch me, I backed off. If there was one thing I remember, it was my mama saying, "Don't ever let anyone touch you down there." I made it clear what mama said and told the old man I cannot disobey my mama. But the old man was very crafty. He said, "Okay, you're right. We won't disobey your mama. I will not touch you," while he waved his hands by his chest. "I will keep my hands on my body, but I want you to come closer so I can show you what grown-ups do. Your mama never said anything about this, did she?" Looking down, I could see him swinging his tool around. I thought about it, and I was sure mama never informed me about this. Then he said, "Then you're not going to get in trouble, and I'm still hurting from that time you hit me." Oh boy. Guilt. Even before we are old enough to know the word or its definition, we sure do understand the feeling it creates. I came up closer and he had me sit on his legs. It had the same feeling as when you sit on the toilet. I thought I was going to fall through, but I didn't. I watched him lay his tool against me. Then he started to rock his legs back and forth. It would make the tool press up against me. I remember thinking, this is so awkward. Staring down, he said out loud, "That's odd. It don't work. Won't go in." Completely unaware of what he was referring to, I just sat there unamused. It was not like he did not try to do whatever it is that he was doing. It just did not work. So the old man pressed it up tight against me, then requested for me to grab his tool and stroke it as before. Unlike the last time, I was not asked to leave, but he did pull away and grabbed a washcloth. What I witnessed was a strange sight and somewhat messy. The old man seemed quite pleased, not like I have ever seen him before. When an adult is happy with you, what better feeling can a kid have? I did good, I thought. Before I left, he grabbed my arm again like the first time. He said, "Kaya, you are to never tell anybody about this, ever. You understand?" I nodded and wanted to leave, not because of what I had done, but because I did not like being grabbed like this. He went on to say, "Remember what I said about getting punished? Well, you will get in trouble if you tell anyone. Even more, they might send your mama to jail." At this point, I was frozen in fear. What have I done? Now I have to worry about my mama going to jail? Now you are doing grown-up things and are the one responsible for keeping your mama from going to jail, he said. I had no choice. I had to do whatever was asked of me. I had to make sure my mama was not punished for me hurting an old man. This went on for some time, maybe a couple months. Each time he tried to push his tool on me, and it failed. As time passed, I found myself not wanting to go outside, not going around the shed. When I saw the old man, I tried to stay close to the other kids. One day I was under the kitchen table, playing with 2 other girls. You could see Ma's dress and her fat, saggy legs and puffy feet. She was sitting at the table, splitting peas. Then footsteps came. I could see the boots and blue jeans. It was the old man. You could hear them talking. I found myself being very quiet. I was hoping if I was a mouse, I could not be seen or heard. Then the old man sat down, his blue jean overalls, his boots. It was not long before he pulled his tool out and laid it there. He knew I was under the table, I thought to myself. But did he know about the other girls? What was going to happen, I thought. I was petrified. The 2 other girls did not even react. Then the old man started to tap his feet. One girl looked over and crawled up to him. I almost wanted to scream, "No! Watch out!" She did not seem fazed. She reached up and started to rub him, the way he always made me do. Then I noticed that both girls were wearing dresses. I found myself crawling backwards to the far end of the table, too scared to run out and even more to stay and watch. There was something about seeing this from an outsider's point of view. The other girl crawled over and started to lick on it the way the old man wanted me to. It seemed to grow bigger than it had ever been. My heart pounding in my ears. I did not know what to do or think. This was our secret. Did this mean he told someone? Was I in trouble? Was my mama going to jail? Then out of nowhere, my brother crawls under the table driving a toy truck with his hands. He stops dead in his tracks and looks at what the 2 girls are doing. Then he looks at me. I place my finger over my mouth and motioned, "Shush," shaking my head no. He crawled over to the old man. All I could think was, "No, don't do it, Junior." Then he pushed the girls away. The man placed his hand on the table with a come-back motion. His hands broad, fingers thick, wrinkled skin, nails old and curvy. Then he wrapped his hand around the base of his penis and started to shake it. My brother drew his hand back into a fist. Then he swung as hard as he could, punching the old man in the balls. The old man screamed out, "Oh!" The old woman pushed back her chair, asking what the matter was. The old man quickly put his tool back in his pants, then yelled out, "Someone punched me between the legs." Then we all went running out from underneath the table in different directions. I went out to the cornfields. Junior must have seen me and came my direction. I could not help but to want to laugh. I have no idea why I wanted to laugh. Junior caught up and asked me what I was doing. I said, "I'm hiding." "Why were you under the table?" he asked. I told him I was playing under the table. Then Junior said, "Why did that man have his tallywhacker out?" I shook my head and said, "I don't know." Then he said, "I'm telling Mama." I put my hand over his mouth and forced him to the ground. He tried to yell, and I looked about and then into his eyes. "Be very quiet. Listen to me. You cannot tell Mama. I will get in a lot of trouble." "You don't want me to get in trouble, do you?" Then Junior bit my finger. I let go, shaking my hand. "We're not supposed to keep secrets from Mama." I then started to grin. "I can't believe you punched him." "Please don't tell. I'll be punished." "I hurt him once and now you hit him." "Let's just pretend we didn't see it. He doesn't even know who did it." We laughed quietly while laying prone in the dirt, looking back towards the house. My baby brother was my hero. Well, the old man was nowhere to be seen. Mama came and picked us up. I remember being in the car and watching the house become smaller and smaller while she was backing out of the dirt road driveway. It was easy to see her face as she twisted around to look out the rear window. Then she asked, as she always does, but this day was the only time I remembered it, "How was your day? What did you do?" I sat there with nothing to say, so I said, "Just played outside." Then Junior, without hesitation, shouted out, "The old man took his tallywhacker out when Kaya was under the table." I remember the exact look that ran across my mama's face. I could feel that Ford Mustang begin to decelerate, and when the brake was applied, that caused my head to bob forward. I think my eyes were as big as $50. I turned and looked at Junior, my mouth dropping open. Both of us in the back seat looked forward at Mama. I felt the sensation of shrinking, my body not feeling real, and the image of Mama's face becoming the size of a planet. Mama just stared and said, "Do what?" Then Junior said, "The old man pulls out his tallywhacker and the girls play with it." I think I was under the impression that the card would explode and the worst would be over because I'd be dead, but unfortunately that did not happen. Mama looked at me. Tears ran down my face. It did not matter how much Mama told me not to cry in the past, or the fear of her telling me to zip it up because she would give me something to cry about. I started and could not stop. "Please, Mama, do not be mad at me." She turned and faced the house. She looked at me. She looked ahead. She put the car in drive and started to go forward. I screamed out, "No! Stop it!" She stopped and looked at me. Probably because I have never in my life screamed or told her what to do. Then she asked, "What did he do?" I cried, "Please, Mama, let us go away. We need to run away. I do not want you to go to jail. He said you would go to jail. Please let us run away." I watched a tear slide down her face for the first time while looking at me. This was not a tear for Daddy, or because of wanting a home or food. This tear was for me. Looking back, I can honestly say it was the only tear I remember ever being for me. I was shaking, begging, things I had never done before. She pounded the dashboard, looking at the house. If laser beams could come out of her eyes, they would have. In the deepest cry I ever remember having in my life, I just begged, "Please, Mama, let us drive far, far away. Do not go back. Please." It must have worked. I do not know why, but my mother started driving away. I hated Junior. How could he? How could he put us in danger like that? When we got home, I remember a woman being there. My mama crying and screaming to her. I remember my mama saying she was going to take a gun and shoot him. Then I heard the woman saying, "Karen, the police will put you in jail, and your kids will not have a mother." Oh no, it's true. Mama's going to jail. Junior and I stayed in our room, but it was obvious that a lot was going on. Mama took the next day off of work, and we did not get up early to drive to the sitters. Other people all dressed up started coming over. Then it happened. A couple police cars pulled up. I ran out of my room to Mama and grabbed her leg. I cried, "I'm so sorry, Mama." The police came inside and talked to the people in suits. Then a policeman stepped toward us, addressing my mama, saying, "We need you now." I turned and screamed, "No, go away, it's my fault." And then I kicked the police officer in the leg. Before I could see a reaction, I felt claws in my armpits and swooping motion in the air while the room went into a spin. Before I knew it, I was on a kitchen counter. My mama had been crying so much her face was wet, but eyes were dry. She said, "Kaya, behave yourself. Apologize to this man. Then I want you to speak to this lady in your room. Tell her everything. No more secrets. Police are not taking me or you anywhere. They are going to keep us safe." Well, this was a turn of events. How could this be? How could I not be punished for hurting an old man? Why would the police keep us safe from a harmless old man? Well, I did have to talk to this lady. Then another one, and another. Each time I remember feeling more ashamed as I told the events that led up to this day. Each time I remember seeing a facial reaction that would have been defined as disgust. I started to understand that this was a bad thing, that grown-ups did not approve, that some even had to excuse themselves for a moment saying they felt sick. Others would start to cry. Each time it became harder to talk about. It seemed we stayed in the house for a full month. Much had been happening during that time, but there was this moment where I was told the old man is in jail and he will not hurt you or anyone ever again. As days passed to weeks, maybe months, I do not know for sure, there was no sitters. Just lots of grown-ups around and the smell of coffee. It was the most disturbing smell. How could they drink it? I took some once because it looked like hot chocolate. It tasted horrible and burned my tongue. To this day, I do not like hot drinks. Then hearing a suited lady tell my mama that the case did not look so good, that no other children had complaints of anything like this happening to them. This was so strange. There was 2 girls under that table that day. How could they not say anything, I thought. So it was just Junior and I against the old man. So we went to court. It was a strange feeling. A huge building. Ceilings as tall as Toys R Us, but nothing exciting to look at. Just a bunch of old paintings of old men staring down at you. An occasional water fountain and a bench. Once inside the room, there was lots of people. A big guy wearing a black dress with a wooden hammer. It was the first time I had seen the old man since that day. He looked at me with a grin. It did not make me feel good. We came to this courtroom several times. I do not remember listening to much. I sat there quietly, sometimes staring at my shoes, feet dangling. I used to wonder when my feet would touch the ground. I never understood how grown-ups can sit in one place so long. I remember hearing a woman speaking to my mama about the case in her office. It seemed as if the old man and woman were telling the people in the court that my mama was all alone, and that mama could not pay her babysitter bills on time, that we do not have a daddy, and that I was just seeking attention. That I was the one that did not want to hang around the other kids, that I wanted to spend time learning how to make toys because my mama was too poor to buy me any. It even appeared that other kids told the investigators I was strange and had no friends. I remember hearing, "It does not look good, and there is a chance he will walk." That's strange. The man had a problem walking before? My mother slammed her hands on the desk. "You better hope he doesn't, because if he does, he will never touch another child again. You can count on that." The lady shook her head at my mother, the only person I ever saw do such a thing. Then she turned and spoke to me. "Now, Kaya, remember what we talked about. Just answer the questions the way you always do. Don't be scared. He can't hurt you. Now, the other man asking you questions may say things to make you feel bad. But don't feel bad, okay? It is his job to do that. If you don't understand the question, take your time and ask him to explain it. Take your time. Don't be scared. Do not answer too quickly. Be sure of your answer. Okay?" I remember saying, "Yes, ma'am," thinking this was easy. Then I was called to the stand. A police officer walked me to it. They put a box in the chair. There was a lady below me, typing something and looking up. Then I heard a voice. "Sweetie, are you ready?" It was the man in the black dress. He was staring down over me like a hawk coming in for a fish. I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He then softly said, "I need you to look at the officer and put your hand on the Bible." I repeated all the words I was told to. Then I looked forward and saw the old man. He was smiling all funny like. I felt very uncomfortable now, almost sick. Then I saw a flash, then another one. There was lots of people standing up in the seats now flashing lights at me. The judge slammed his hammer down, yelling out, Order! I guess that means stop it now, 'cause they did. My mama's lawyer, a man I only spoke to once before, came up close and asked if I was okay, then offered me some water. I watched the water being poured into the glass. It was very hypnotic and quite comforting. Many questions came at me, all recalling the events I have already said out loud so many times before. Then one thing happened I had not done before. He asked me if I saw the man that did these things, could I point him out? Then I was asked if he was here. I said, "Yes, sir, he is. Ain't it the reason you got me sitting on a box?" There was some laughter, and the judge slammed his hammer again, so they all stopped. The lawyer smiled at me and said, "Yes, it is, Kaya. Now, I need you to point to the man that did these things to you." I raised my hand and pointed at the old man. He said, "Now, Kaya, are you sure this is the same man? Does he look exactly like the man you told us about?" I said, "Yes, sir. Except he don't normally look all shiny. He wears overalls every day so he can always touch his tool and no one can see it." The people made some noise and the hammer came down again. It was not expected this time, so it kind of scared me, and I looked up. The judge must have known I was scared by it, because when he looked down at me, his angry face staring out to the crowd became a very gentle one looking down at me. He said, "It's okay, child. You may talk now." The lawyer offered me more water. I felt I needed it. The cold temperature of the water felt so good from the heat of my mouth. I found myself staring into the bottom of the glass. It made everything in the room a blur. This was much easier to look at. After this part was over, the other lawyer came up to talk. He said a lot of things that did not make sense. But asked if my daddy was around, how much time did I spend with my mama, did I have any friends, why did my mama make a point to tell me to not let anyone touch me down there, finishing up saying, most kids are not even made aware what down there is. Interesting my mama worked so hard to inform me of these things at such a very early age. He asked me, did I always do what I was told? I said, "Yes, sir." He asked if I lied a lot. I said, "No, sir, I do not lie. I will get in trouble." He then said, "You said your mama told you to never let anyone touch you. Is that right?" "Yes, sir." "So what you're saying is you always disobey your mama?" "No, sir." He continued, "Then you told all these nice people over here that this man touched you. So are you lying now?" "No, sir." "So you told all these people that the old man told you to not tell your mama. So if you were really scared of him, would you not go to your mama first? Or are you more afraid of your mama? Maybe you do what your mama tells you to do and say, do you do everything your mama tells you to do?" "Yes, sir, I do." "I think you're lying right now about the old man." I heard objection, but the old man's lawyer kept talking. "Then you want us to believe that you tell the truth, but you have been proven to lie, that you don't do what you're told. In your own words, you have not done so. Right this moment, you are trying to say things that will hurt a family in this community, also so your mama can make a lot of money and you won't have to be poor anymore." It was at this moment that I was completely confused. Lots of people standing up, a whole lot of flashes, lots of screaming, lots of hammer slamming. By the time it all settled down, I sat there watching the old man turn and shake hands with a guy next to him. And then he glared up at me. I looked away. I was afraid, embarrassed, scared. I was wrong. I was a liar, and I did not do what I was told. I was a bad kid. The judge said that we had enough for today. Seems we were going to come back on Monday. Things did not look good. It seems as if everything my mama did to hide me from the world only made us look like bad people. It did not make sense to others, and it seemed wrong to them. I did not know any different. The weekend went by fast. It was my word against them. Junior's testimony was not even taken. Some doctor said he did not have enough development to understand things. It was said he was too young to know any difference other than what his parents tell him to say. I do not even have a memory of anything that was done that weekend. Monday morning, the courtroom was quiet. The lawyers went to the judge to talk. It seemed it was all over. Then a lady that has never been seen before went on the stand. Afterwards, the judge sentenced the old man to jail for the rest of his life. There was a lot of screaming going on now. We had to stand for the judge to leave. The old man's family started screaming at me and making threats. "You little brat! You don't have a daddy and now you want to take ours away? I hope you burn in hell!" A whole bunch of police came in. I remember the lawyer wrapping his arms around me and pushing me towards the courtroom floor, and the police taking us through a door in the back. The flashes made it hard to see. I was not walking as much as I was being carried at this point. When things settled down, I remember hearing the lawyer tell my mom about going back to a normal life. Things were a bit crazy, so the lady lawyer had us stay at her house for a few days before we moved to a new place. I sat and watched cartoons one Saturday morning in our new place. The lady lawyer we stayed with came over. She had a newspaper and began talking with my mama about it. It seemed that because of what happened the day I was on the stand, the newspapers wrote that it was all a scandal and the old man was innocent and going to be let go. Then women started to come forward and told their stories to the police. Some of the women the old man touched did not live very long, and their family and friends came forward for them. Over 50 grown-ups came to tell the story of how the old man touched them too. It was said that he had been touching kids for at least 30 years. Life did go back to normal, whatever that was. I do believe it was not even 6 months before my mama sat me down and had a talk with me. She said, "Kaya, I have some news to tell you. The old man that I told you to never talk about, well, he is not alive anymore. He can never touch you or hurt you again. Do you understand? You do not need to be afraid." I nodded yes, and then she hugged me. I asked, "How did he die?" She paused for a moment and said in a face void of emotion, "Honey, when bad men do things, they go to prison. But when bad men hurt children, men in prison do bad things to those men. It's never okay to hurt children. Even bad men do not allow it. He deserved to die." She squeezed my shoulder. That was about all the comforting she could muster, and she went back to what she was doing. Mamas, they are so strange. The more I thought about it, I was not afraid of him. I was afraid of her. I was afraid to be in trouble with her. I was afraid to tell her. I was afraid to lose my mama, 'cause I had no daddy. Today, that old house still stands. The tin roof is all rust with some holes. The wood rotten. The area outside the home's property lines is all developed. The property itself is abandoned. The for sale sign at the highway entrance is old and tattered. A community aware of the lives destroyed here. This land is cursed. Cursed to never sell or profit those of the bloodline to the man that destroyed so many lives. It would not be the South without some church involvement. A large crucifix about 12 feet tall was placed in the yard. I am sure it gave the religious peace of mind to place a symbol of good over the evil that took place here. To me, it just looked like a large tombstone. You can't pray away the memories or the manipulation of a predator. You can only come to terms and understand your part and let go of any guilt or shame. You can only share the story so others may know the signs of how to protect their children. You can only let it go so it does not ruin your present and your future. I often wondered if that is why some of those women did not live. No one deserves to have their innocence taken. Even more, no one should give up on the rest of their life just because they can't live with the feeling it is their fault.